Hey, what's up guys? The OnePlus 7T Pro is the highest tier model of the OnePlus 7 lineup, but there's been some criticism that the improvements in features over the other models is pretty tiny. So what's the deal, and is this one worth setting your sights on? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's take a look at our full review. The OnePlus 7T Pro has a curved glass design quite common to smartphones these days, with a rounded aluminum frame. Looks-wise, it's quite similar to the OnePlus 7 Pro. Our 7T Pro is in the new haze blue color, and the frosted finish is quite stunning. Just to note that this is the only color option available. There is a transparent case included in the box, but if you want to really mix up the look of the phone, you'll have to buy something opaque. Although there is no official IP rating, OnePlus has taken some measures to protect the phone from water, so it should survive if you accidentally drop it in water, but hopefully you don't need to test that. One of the biggest differences looks-wise from the OnePlus 7T is the camera setup. Here you get a more traditional vertical stripe. Another difference is on the front, as the 7T Pro is bringing a bezel-less all-screen look, with curves on the sides. This is possible thanks to a retractable selfie cam, which is trendy these days. The OnePlus 7T Pro's 6.67-inch AMOLED screen is curved, like those you'd find on Samsung's flagships. At Quad HD, it's the same resolution as on the OnePlus 7 Pro. It does share the same 90Hz refresh rate too. This means that moving elements will look and feel more fluid, and there is support for higher frame rates in content and games. The display looks gorgeous with deep AMOLED blacks, and colors are quite accurate. Brightness is decent at 430 nits, and it boosts up to 600 nits in auto mode when it's sunny. It isn't as bright as some of the competition though. There isn't an always-on display, but an ambient display that activates when you lift or tap the phone. But if a notification does come in, it will flash onto the screen for a few moments. Under the display sits the optical fingerprint scanner, and this is one of the best I've tried yet. It's incredibly responsive and accurate, just needing a light touch to wake up and unlock the phone. The pop-up camera works well and is fast and responsive for face unlock. Just remember that it isn't as secure as a fingerprint. The OnePlus 7T Pro has a stereo speaker setup, with the earpiece acting as the second speaker. Quality is great. The speaker scored an excellent mark on our loudness test, and output is rich and balanced. If you're using headphones, you'll need to use the USB-C port to plug in, since there's no headphone jack. You don't get an adapter in the box either. When we tested with a passive adapter, we found that sound with headphones was clear and accurate, though loudness was below average. One other feature I would have liked to see here is expandable storage. You do get 256 gigs of UFS 3.0 storage on board, but once you run out, that's it. The OnePlus 7T Pro is one of the first phones to come with Android 10 out of the box. On top of this, it's running the latest version of Oxygen OS, which isn't wildly different from stock Android. There are a few differences though, and one of them is a customization menu that lets you change the look of the home screen and the app drawer. Something unique to OnePlus is what it calls the shelf. It's a page that you can set up with app-specific shortcuts, like creating a contact or taking a selfie. There's also a Zen mode, basically a souped-up Do Not Disturb. You can set it on a schedule, and when it's on, you can't use apps, and you can only place emergency calls. Another useful feature is the recorder. You can capture what's happening on the screen, or audio from a call or the microphone. The OnePlus 7T Pro brings the most powerful Android chipset right now, the Snapdragon 855 Plus. It's basically an overclocked Snapdragon 855, and on paper, it should deliver around 15% increased peak CPU performance. In benchmarks, this is about what we saw, though in GPU tests, we did see its performance fall behind some competitors due to the more demanding QHD screen. Regardless, real-life performance is excellent, and games run great without thermal problems. It's hard to really feel the benefits of the Plus next to the 855 logo, but if you're looking for the latest chip, the 7T Pro delivers. Powering the phone is a 4085 mAh battery, and battery life here is excellent. With the screen refresh rate set to 90Hz, the phone scored an endurance rating of 100 hours in our proprietary battery tests. When we switched the screen to 60Hz, we didn't see too much of a boost, with a score of 103 hours, so 90Hz seems pretty optimized. The OnePlus 7T Pro uses the new Warp Charge 30T. Just like Warp Charge 30, we were able to charge from 0 to 60% in half an hour. But thanks to some retuning of the charging process, here you get faster charging in the upper range of the battery. The OnePlus 7T Pro brings a triple camera setup which contains a 48 megapixel main cam with a quad Bayer filter, a 16 megapixel ultra-wide camera, and an 8 megapixel 3x telephoto cam. It's the same setup as you'd find on the OnePlus 7 Pro, except for the location of the laser autofocus off to the side. Photos from the main cam come out in 12 megapixels, and in daylight they are excellent. There is incredible detail, top-notch contrast, balanced sharpness, and wide dynamic range. 3x zoom photos from the telephoto cam are equally spectacular. Resolve detail is brilliant, as is the sharpness and dynamic range, and colors are true to life. Daylight photos from this ultra-wide camera are among the better ones we've seen, with decent enough detail and low noise. Colors are mostly accurate, and contrast is excellent. While there is automatic distortion correction to take out the curves at the edges of the frame, if you opt out of it, you'll get sharper corners. OnePlus has upgraded the ultra-wide camera on this model, and it can focus on close-up objects to take macro shots. These look decent, but we weren't impressed by the level of detail. Portraits can be taken with either the main or the telephoto cam. No matter which you use, they are excellent. Subject separation is great, there's more than enough detail, and the defocused backgrounds look convincing. At night, the 7T Pro's main camera does a great job, thanks to a bright aperture and OIS. Images come out well exposed, with lots of detail, accurate white balance, and low noise. OnePlus's night mode is called Nightscape, and it brightens up the photos even more. It improves detail too, capturing things the naked eye can't. At night, photos from the ultra-wide cam are dark, blurry, and noisy. You can turn on Nightscape mode, which will brighten up the photo, but there is still plenty of noise and not much detail. Zooming in a darker scene will give you output from the telephoto cam rather than a crop from the main cam. If there's some light available, you can end up with some decent yet noisy photos. Let's move on to selfies taken with a 16 megapixel pop-up camera. They do come out a bit softer than we'd like, but they have excellent contrast, colors, and dynamic range. Videos taken with the rear cameras at 30 FPS have always-on electronic stabilization. It adds smoothness at the expense of some sharpness and a narrower field of view. There's also a super steady mode which uses the ultra-wide camera. It gives you an even smoother result, kind of like an action cam. 4K videos can only be taken with the main camera. The result is excellent, with great contrast and dynamic range, and high-quality stereo sound. You can shoot video from the telephoto and the ultra-wide cams only in 1080p. Quality is good though, with low noise, wide dynamic range, and decent enough detail. One feature advertised by OnePlus is 960fps super slow-mo video in 720p, but this will come with a software update. For now, 480fps will have to do. So that's the OnePlus 7T Pro. You get a beautiful glass build, a high-res 90Hz curved OLED screen without a notch, excellent battery life with fast charging, stereo speakers, a killer chipset, and some great camera performance. All in all, some really impressive stuff. You do have to settle for a few shortcomings, like the missing headphone jack, and the lack of 4K video on anything but the main camera. But probably the biggest issue is that you can find most of the same features in the cheaper OnePlus 7 Pro. So with all that said, is this phone worth getting? I would say it does deserve a recommendation. At 750 euros, it isn't cheap, but it's still a better deal than a lot of flagships out there. However, if the 7 Pro is available in your region, and you don't need the macro cam, overclocked chipset, or improved battery life, you could save some money with the older model. Thanks for watching guys, and see you on the next one.